Yeah, yeah. Probably wiener and then there's the pot. Someone made us like, look, that's. The next line is. Yes. Yeah. That's the kid. Yeah. Yeah. Better than that. Because I think that's what you're home. He searched it. You're off to sleep. Yeah. Yes, if we do that next one, we have. Oh, wow. Basically, you can do stuff, or you can do. Yeah. I email text messages to you, but nothing that's a good. What's going on? Hey, good. What do you got? Oh, you're all your wife's excellent. And it was okay. Yes. How'd you get? Yeah, you're more obnoxious than that. Talking. He has both fences. Oh. Like a way to rest. That's it. Yeah. So for this one, next time she's gonna send me dogs. Yeah, I'll be like to myself. Watch since those days. I know. Yes, but yeah, it's funny because it says that, and then of course he sent a picture from talking. There's you. Good, good. Yeah, that's enough. All right, cool. Rick. Yeah. We're gonna call the meeting to order. Roll call.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm here, Brent, Slide over here. Julie is not, is she not going to listen? She said she was. Andy, Mark, yeah, great. Perfect. All righty, so we will do, open comments. If anybody wants to make fun. Open comments. Okay. Anybody online? Anybody online? Like, opening?
There aren't.
There are?
No public comment.
Yeah.
No one's behind.
Okay. All right, action items, approval of the March minutes. So we do not have a meeting in April. Okay, that's correct. Anybody have any changes, questions, additional subtractions? Comments? No, it's better. I didn't see anything. Anything? Okay, second. On favor?
Aye.
Meeting minutes are approved. All right.
Excellent. To the table.
All right.
All right, well, thank you very much. As you know, this is one of my favorite meetings, so I enjoy coming up here and I appreciate that you let me sit at the big table. We have arguments, not just in the audience, so thank you for letting me be here tonight. We've been talking a lot about all the great work that's going on, and a while ago, we began a conversation and started talking about the great work that we're getting into. And so I wanted to share a presentation with you tonight and share a little bit about what we have going on, update you on where we are, and ask for your support. So I am going to ask for your support tonight. So I don't want to break the computer, so.
But it.
Yeah.
I'm sharing the team, so they're recording. Yeah, that's.
See, this is why I didn't want to get involved in technical issues, because need the pros. Excellent.
Okay.
All right, excellent. So thank you. So we've been talking a lot. Every month I love getting here and talking about all the great things we have going on. And so I thought I'd start by just summarizing a little bit here with a better look at and better story of what's been happening at the Florida Aquarium. Or not.
Is it play out back?
I'm trying to put it. Little quiet.
Mine, or did I just, we have to make else?
All right.
I just pause it for a second. I can make a lot of it. Start your challenges. I can play it back just.
Have the battle of the chips at the head table.
So no, it's all in on goals. It's one of our brain.
So you can fit people in.
No, I'm all about all the neighborhood gyms, like working together and supporting one another. And no, we're doing partnerships. We're not.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Well, I'll send the video around. How about that? Sure. Here we go.
Yeah, let them do their thing with people who are doing special needs students. That we're good at. It's kind of. Yeah.
All I'll send that out. Most important piece that I wanted to make, what that video does frame for us and what it really talks about is really what the Florida Aquarium has become. You recall, we were opened as an anchor here to really bring to life the vision of what the Channel District should be, could become in 1995. It may have taken a little longer than some would have liked, but I think it's been great results. And, you know, there's a nice shot. We'd love to get in here the shots of what construction looked like for the Florida Aquarium. And it's been a lot of great work and a lot of great progress. And it's really grown into what is a world-class aquarium and an anchor destination here in the community. And we've really enjoyed a lot of success over the last 29 years. Millions of visitors, hundreds of thousands of children we've had the opportunity to educate, thousands of animals that we've been involved in conservation programs with, or saving animals, and really striving every day to be a community asset and a key anchor to this community. And so it's brought us to a great place. Last year, roughly 275 million in economic impact, as we've studied. That's significant. Over 1 million in attendance, as we said, annually. It's about 100,000 in our education programs. And, there's really a lot of great hidden stories in there, and we try to share some of them. I've tried to share some of them as I enjoyed coming to the meeting and sharing. Within that number, even though that is such a great number, 1,600 fifth graders in Title I school districts have had the opportunity to participate in hands-on field studies with the Florida Aquarium over the years. And it's those powerful stories that really motivate us. Over 400 turtles we've saved and put back in the ocean. And as I shared, I think previously, C-Track, this amazing program that we love, has brought 800 into the community program so that they can actually walk underwater and really enjoy that. So we've had a lot of huge success. We've enjoyed our vision for this community and being a part of it. And now it really comes to this project that we've talked about. So you've heard from us before, so I'm going to update you on the project. So to remind everyone, this was really based on the demand and the volume, and we have to evolve as an institution. The exhibitry that you see at the aquarium, for all intents and purposes, is the original exhibitry. It's 29 years old. And so our opportunity is to evolve to meet those consumer demands and those changing expectations. And we need to do that to continue to thrive. And so we've launched a capital project that we began the first phase and opened a year ago. And it really is made up of, we have an exhibit hall that we've created. We're going to add a new second floor gallery that will feature a puffin exhibit, 2-story puffin exhibit. And then our new outdoor pavilion, that back outdoor pavilion, will become home to sea lions here in Tampa Bay. And we'll be able to build a world-class African penguin exhibit that will increase our ability to participate in global species conservation. So exciting and cool opportunities. So what does that look like? You've all seen Morphed. I know I showed off Morphed here to a lot of fans in the room. Hopefully you've come over and seen it in person and not just the videos that I've had the opportunity to share. But it is a 4,000 square foot gallery, and it continues to get rave reviews. It now has new games in it. So if you haven't been in a little bit, come on over and play with some of the games. We may have had a Leadership Tampa group today that spent most of their time trying to shoot little bugs off of a screen with some water play. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's really been the beginning of an evolution and a process for us. I mentioned that second floor gallery. So what we're going to create the second floor gallery is we're taking that open mezzanine and we're adding a couple of new systems to that, renovating and rebuilding a new touch habitat to really create the immersive experience that we've become known for, and that our guests really love and enjoy. And so that'll happen on that second floor mezzanine area that is currently an open air component of the aquarium. And as you continue along with that, thanks to a wonderful investment from the Vinnett Family Foundation, we'll have this 2-story puffin habitat. Puffins will be the first for us to have puffins in the state of Florida. So it really, truly will continue to keep us as a world-class destination that really connects with the audience and what they're looking for. And it'll be a dynamic exhibit where you'll be able to see them floating on top of the surface, and you'll also be able to see them dive down and see how they are graceful swimmers. So a really cool, exciting experience for our guests that tells the story of puffin. Now we go outside. So that's our latest drawing. It's actually, we're working on the newest drawings, but our latest drawing that shows you we're going to take the entire outdoor pavilion and rethinking. We're actually building a building in the center of that pavilion. You can see it here, that gray structure. That will be our back of house facility structure to support what is a very immersive sea lion experience. So the beauty of sea lions is being able to see them sitting on the rock, just sunning themselves, and being able to see them swim. And we're going to give you all angles to be able to do that. So this exhibit gives a long swim path for them to follow. We can accommodate roughly 8 to 10 is our plan for sea lions, and really bring a cool experience to the outside that you can enjoy. A couple other views of how that will look roughly, but you can get the sense of it's really cool, a cool immersive experience, and really put it on display in an exciting way. We do have a sponsor secured for that. It is to be announced later, so I can't scoop that. Remember that I'm being recorded. I will not hint even at what it is. I'll move on. The African penguin habitat is, again, everything for us in all of this expansion was how do we create new, unique, immersive experiences that are innovative. So here, as you've seen in our drawings previously, but what we're really focused on is giving you an up close look. So you're actually going to be able to walk out into the habitat. Here, we're going to create a space where you can go out and the glass will kind of be around you. So water is around you as well, and you get the sense of these birds. So you can really learn their plight. They are an amazing conservation story to be told. Really struggling in their natural environment, and it's zoos and aquariums that are maintaining a healthy population to be able to support long-term conservation efforts for that species. And we're excited that we can expand to roughly 25 to 30 birds from the 10 birds we have today, and bring that to life and participate in those programs. So really cool, exciting experiences. So we talked about, we had a great year last year. I shared our 1 million visitors, and we really see this expansion as the way of creating the consistent and sustained focus on it. So we've run the projections of what we see each element to be able to deliver consistently over time. And back when we began this process, our baseline was 850,000 visitors. So to know that we've had some successes, in particular driven by Morphed in that first phase of it, to really boost and give us an opportunity. Our goal here is to expand the aquarium to be able to sustain that impact as a top cultural attraction in Tampa Bay. And that's what this program is really all about. We have a capital campaign that's been doing a significant amount of fundraising. I'm going to recap some of the fundraising in a second. But Daryl Shaw has been generous with his time and his energy to help us with this focus. And so it's no small feat to be able to raise the capital to really put a program like this in place and execute on it. And this group has been an amazing group of champions for us in driving that forward. And that gets us to where we are today. So we would like to make an ask of the Tampa Community Redevelopment Agency for a $15 million investment, which we will be matching with $30 million, $22 million of which we have raised to date. The remaining $8 million is all in the works, and we have confidence. We also have access to financial markets to be able to support that. So we are comfortable and confident. We believe that investment in the Florida Aquarium to be able to keep us as an anchor and a community asset for the Channel District in particular is really important. We look at that impact and we really focus on how important and impactful we can be in the community. We were talking earlier today with a group, and the Hampton is one of our primary hotels for weddings. And I asked the question, I said, so how many wedding guests do you think we've had to stay at the Hampton Inn? And the answer was immediately thousands have stayed right here in the Channel District, because every wedding that we book that needs to bring folks from out of town, that is the primary place we send them. Obviously, it's convenient, but it's in this community that they are coming to visit when they come from out of town, and really valuable. So that community impact is critically important to us, which is why it's important when we make this ask that we are focused as well on your action plan that you have for the community, and understanding that we want to continue to support the brand and drive the brand of the Channel District by being that cultural asset that you are extremely proud of. I spent a lot of time in this room and talked to a lot of you as we've gone through this, and I know how excited you are that the aquarium is here, and we are excited as well. And so that's a big piece for us, and we want to continue to have the economic impact and grow businesses locally and throughout the region as those guests come in. Mark and I were talking about parking earlier, which is a big discussion. We talked about the access to the streetcar and what that does, and again, it creates a community connection that goes to the surrounding neighborhoods as well. And we know that those anchor to the plan and the program that you have. So I've taken more than enough of your time walking through at least where the update is. But what we would like to ask is the support of this community advisory committee to support our request to the CRA for the funding to be able to really bring this program to high heights, soaring heights, if you're dealing with the funds.
Like it. And we get asked this question. You are a culture, you are performing arts. Okay. How does this compare to what has been asked and approved of other cultures? If you have any I guess you'd call peer comparisons.
So I'll answer it
This
this,
is 25, right?
so I'll answer it this way. The downtown CRA invested 25 million in the Straz Performing Arts Center and its project. And I believe it's 25 million in the art museum as well. And I believe there's a $14 million investment in the Tampa Theater. Those would be the only comparables I'm aware of from a CRA investment perspective.
And how much was the Tampa Theater?
I think it was $14 million. It
14. And the museum,
was 25 million.
okay, so we're right in line.
What's the timeline? So of when you would ask this from us, like all in one shot or over a couple of
Oh,
years?
no, it would be, well, so,
Over a couple of
yeah, we are comfortable with a phased investment that works
Yeah.
for the CRA. I believe the original request was 5 million a year for 3 years. This project will go through construction in 26. So, and as I noted, we have $22 million on hand now. So the construction, we still have to get through construction documents and get shovels in the ground. So that, but I believe we'd look at it as a 3-year ask. It's not an all one ask in one.
And then what's your timeline as in permitting construction and CO?
We are at the end of schematic design and we'll have construction documents before the end of the year. And we intend to pursue the city on an early permit to be able to do, there's a lot of work in the back part of the property that requires foundational work. So we'll probably start with a foundation permit. It'll be this year that we'll start with a foundation permit to get that work underway because we have to tear down what's there and then start, there is some rerouting of some that we've talked with the port about, that there's a drainage vault that gets removed and replaced with proper plumbing on the back. That work can start.
When would you anticipate completion?
We expect completion within 26.
2026.
2026, sorry,
We're
not 26 years, within 2026.
any timeline on that, beginning of the year, end of the year?
I'd say early to mid. I don't have a
Mid,
definitive
mid,
until
mid.
we get a final construction document in place. Well, if we started late this year, it's probably 18 to 20 months.
So with this investment, will the Tampa CRA logo be somewhere or be the Sea Lion sponsor or, I guess.
The Tampa CRA is not the sponsor. I'd have to look at I would rely on the city for the grant requirements and what that means.
We can take.
Yeah.
If I get
The penguins.
Not currently in this project, but you and I have had some conversations about the love for flamingos.
Yeah. I really think
And
it's-
it is not lost on us. And it is something that we can always look forward to. But it's not a part of this. Yeah, we would follow whatever the standard guidelines are, but I don't know how that, I will admit, that's why I'm pointing back and forth, the legalities and how that works itself. We'll leave it.
So you know, like CRA branding being on.
Yeah.
Something can be plaques or something.
So-and-so, the Finnegan
Right.
Foundation sponsored
Right.
this hallway.
There's typical recognitions.
Maybe we can take, maybe we take the big one side of things or something.
We want
The water fountains, whatever works.
Water fountains.
We go right there.
Airport's good.
I want you guys to just bring flamingos out, right there, around out front.
Mission that CRA.
We would definitely recognize the CRA. How? I can't commit to until I read the grant guidelines.
Yes, I want a flamingo.
Well, we're happy to come back for another.
Okay.
So,
We'll see what we have to do.
so the courtyard area, which is currently where this is all going to be built, I'll call it that.
The large portion. Yeah.
Yeah, so the impacts, that's 18 months that basically, if I heard right, it's going to be shut down. Basically, your guest will not be able to do, what kind of impact do you think that will have on them? Because a lot of the visitors do go there and enjoy that. Now they're not going to have it for a year and a half of accessing to that.
A percentage of our visitors do use that space. It's not as large as you would think. We study that because the splash pad has an audience that's dedicated to it. And so that's the audience. We have been, as we've been working through for the last year, utilizing significant amounts of space, including our rooftop space that creates experiences. There would be I think I shared the last one. If not, I think I'm allowed to share that there's a bird show coming this summer that will utilize that space. We used it last summer. That's how we will manage during that construction period to make sure that we're using every square inch we have to accommodate.
I just had a side question. How's the admission thing going now? It's all online. That's great. Work out.
Significant transition from just the walk-ups who are buying tickets to the large majority of our tickets are now sold in advance. That's another element that we've deployed that helps us make sure we're managing. We have this great little chart that our team came up with that showed we had this dramatic spike, and now we've kind of spread that bell curve out a little bit. And that's been the benefit of that program through spring break. So it helps us manage it really well. And it's a high percentage that are now purchasing in advance.
I do think her point is very well made.
Yeah.
About,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Amy.
no, about naming, and the reason is this, is that it would, let's face it, this 15 million is coming from the residents that have funded this 15 million and continue to fund us. So I do think it's important that the residents give resident recognition of their 15 million.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, we'll follow the guidelines. And I think, there's a bullet on this slide that I should call out based on that comment. That last bullet, we understand that, it's been 29 years and you see the growth that has happened. We understand that having a cultural anchor like the Florida Aquarium will help spur all the future development. So we're very cognizant of that. And we want to make sure that we would always want to make sure we acknowledge and recognize that support wholeheartedly.
I'll move based on.
I think from a tourist and educational standpoint, I'm all about Pittsburgh.
Appreciate
I
it.
wish Jacksonville would get off its stick. Now I'm moving down here, I think you're talking about Jacksonville. But I think it's, and the fact that you got 2/3 of this committed already, pretty much. I'm all for it.
Will you continue to fundraise? So if we give you this, make that commitment, you'll continue to fundraise, and then excess funds, what happens with that? So we're committing to get more than what we need. Future expansion.
Yeah, I think it allows us to look at other elements that would serve our core why, right? We'd be able to look at what else we might be able to add to, but also, boost what is in
Yeah.
development. So
I would think in that timeline, you're probably gonna have other players that'll come out of the woodwork and say, hey, we really want to give you, whatever. And so, yeah.
I think everything allows us the flexibility to continue looking at what's important and how to make the project in its entirety better. I can't commit to exactly what it would be, but there's an element. I know, you keep winking and going, they're pink. I know. Well, but no, I think for us, this is the base that gets this project going, and we'll obviously fundraise as hard as we can. And the more we get, the more we make sure we improve in every aspect, focusing on the core elements of what we're here to achieve.
Yes, this is fantastic.
Really great.
I was walking around on Saturday, and the amount of strollers that storm your facilities on a Saturday and Sunday morning is fantastic. It's not just tourism, like the neighbors, like my neighbors, it keeps families here. We talk about residents in Canal District, and we talk about this being very dog friendly, but the aquarium is making it more family friendly. And you and I have talked about this. It's all of my friends that are having children. It's one of the #1 recommended baby registry items is a membership to the
You
aquarium.
mentioned that.
And it keeps people feeling at home here. I have friends that literally go every single weekend because it's the only thing they can do with their top line.
Right, you guys, you're getting rid of the splash pad all together, right? And you have to use that. I'd like to report with you guys on our design for the
Yeah.
RV lot and try to maybe integrate something from the aquarium, whether it's like you talked about for a butterfly garden or something where we put it together. Maybe we say, maybe there's something there too that says, we're proud supporter of the aquarium, so,
We are
partner
happy-
ours for this garden or whatever.
We are happy to be involved in the design
Yeah,
process
love that.
and give whatever we can give from a thought leadership perspective and
So
idea.
that's me too. I think we need to think about it being very, very family friendly as well. I think because we don't really have too much of that in parks. I love not mind to like playground swings and stuff, but I think we can use some elements. And since they're taking the splash pads out, there might be an opportunity to do a water feature in that RV lot there, because it's so close to the parking and everything. Maybe people can come out of the aquarium, go down there, and they've got a water feature there they can interact with, or something in that RV lot. So we can maybe tie that together. Elements that you're taking out that are popular, maybe we put them in the park.
We'd love to be included in
Yeah.
the process, and we can continue to share more about what we've learned in this process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just make sure this outdoor activity going on, even already exists.
I don't know, Andy, I don't know if you're, I don't know if you're doing something, this, if I could just say, so Roger, during the presidency of board. I know you're like, chat, I would just say this, if you're touch base on recognition. So we appreciate your support, and we see ourselves, keyword up there, we see ourselves as neighbors. We don't see ourselves, and so in the spirit of neighbors, in the spirit of partnership, if you go down that road, look, we're gonna do right by our district. So recognition, things like that, we'll find ways, you know, there are definitely ways where it's what's written, but you know, we've always gone above. So my promise and our promise to you is we'll make sure that there is, you know, a channel district, CAC channel district recognition for the significance. Just an important. So I don't want you to have to go to, you know, Courtney, even what it says there, I mean, just, we've always done right, and we will, I promise, and then we'll do right on recognition. For y'all, so that helps a little. rather than-
Yeah, I'll just get.
Trying to get, you know, verbiage and like.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that helps.
That sounds good.
I'll just go with the number, that's what I'm going to share.
It's outdoor activity, it's not. I want the land that's already pursuing something else. I mean, were you going to land expansion?
No, it's not a land expansion. We're using the physical footprint we are currently operating on for this. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did she give you a period?
Yeah, you know, there's some allocated issues here that,
Sure.
yeah,
We're gonna do a whole budget meeting, separate budget meeting.
maybe we would have this. You know, to really make it feel comfortable, obligated, that could be really 25, 26, 27. So that show up.
I think we can be flexible with everything. Yeah, I mean, it's,
Do you agree with
You're
that?
gonna get it.
Spreading it out.
27.
That
and fiscal, because 25 starts.
27.
Yeah, if you want to spread it out that way, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, as long as there's nothing that you know, that.
I think we have to, we're gonna do.
Legally, the project has to be conservative, you know, that's.
We've done that to the original institutions. So the grants over several years. Either of the showing here's.
No, we're perfect. I think that goes back to no problem, no problems there. I think this goes back again, you know, for us being a good neighbor, you know, we want to make sure we're working down the parameters that you have. We're not here, you know, raise funds per se.
Sure.
Right? So
Sure. I think.
spread out differently, it's all.
I think that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Could there be,
Right.
and after this, I guess, one more question for this group. Is there an opportunity, if we say yes to 555, an opportunity for them to come back to us if they need more? My concern that's being spread out is things could get more expensive in 2 years, and I don't, you know, 15 million is probably maybe perfect now, but hypothetically, if something happens, that they come back and say, hey, this should be for these 6. Just, that's a question for, if Barbie's approval with that, probably understood.
So if the CAC motions to approve, then it will go to the CRA board, May the 9th, for the same ask. The same ask will go with the CAC recommendation. And then the CRA board will approve or deny. If they approve, then it'll go into a funding agreement. So if the aquarium should ask for any additional funding, that funding agreement would need to be, it would have an addendum to it. So really it locks it in, the funding agreement of $15 million.
And it's, I mean, to my point before too, I think that they've still got so much time, in this project, they're gonna get their moving in. Maybe if there is an increasing cost, maybe you'll have a little wiggle room from other sources possibly. Yeah.
But so you have sort of interim financing in place to pay for this. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if I go back to that slide real quick, we have 22 million on hand,
The cost of the project is 45.
45 million.
So
So
I guess my question is, if the timing, you know, if we're gonna give you this money over 3 years, let's say, you've got to have a way to basically bridge that financing gap. Do you have that capability?
we have some financing in place and we're fully prepared to be able to make that work over time.
you're not gonna build the stage, you're gonna build it now.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost what it costs. And then if you have pledges from 5 from us, and if the project's been done for 2 years, you gotta wait, carry that $10 million after it's been done.
Right, and if, so, yeah, I guess the way I would reframe it based on the way you've been talking about it, and it gets framed out, which is the right way. In fiscal 25, which starts this October, there's 5 million available to us. So having 22 on hand, there's 5 before we're done, by the time we're at construction documents, right? And then by the following October, there's a second $5 million. At that point, we're at $32 million of the project while we're in construction. So financing the last $5 million, if it has to come, you're really talking about a gap that goes between maybe the end of our project. It might be a 6-month gap. So I think we are comfortable that we can manage that financing and not worry about that in that scenario. Because the fiscal year is that October, it always catches me because it'll start October. So for us, we can work that
And
into.
and I guess, but you're not there at 45 yet, so like, do you feel comfortable that you can borrow that gap, as needed, and just the funding will catch up to it?
Yeah, the commitment we've made is we already know that between the financing mechanisms that we have available to us right now and other potential funding sources, that 8 million, we're comfortable sitting here today. We commit that we will have that. This is not we don't have that, and we had a shortfall. The reason why we made it the same color on this chart was exactly to say it's there. So how that cash flows itself, our CFO has a lot of work to do in that regards, but we're comfortable on the cash flow.
I'm just looking at 5 million
After completion is the last 5 million closed, right?
And again, looking at our peers, this way, how were they funded? Were they funded on, how many years were they funded on?
I don't know that I know the answer to that. That would have been the agreements. I think it's similar.
Multiple years.
Yeah.
So 3 years is actually a shorter amount of time versus the other ones.
So the other ones are longer? So I thought the strategy was 5 million a year.
Yes.
Small. That's a $25,000, so it could be 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is 30%, it's whack off the top for affordable. So that's
We
the,
get what's.
um,
But, okay, does anyone else have any questions? Thoughts, concerns? We would like to, are you ready to take a vote?
Yep.
Okay. I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Did you state that in the motion?
Oh, no, I didn't, do you want me to state it?
Yeah, just to memorialize like the fiscal years and then authorize me to go ahead and allocate that funding.
Okay, so 5 million over 30 years, starting 15. Whatever you said.
Whatever I said?
15 million over 3 years, starting with fiscal year 25.
Second.
It was unanimous, yes.
Okay.
Okay. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
I'll just look through the paper too.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
congratulations.
I promise the video is really compelling and I'll turn it around.
We're excited.
Thank you all for the time.
Appreciate it.
So, right, so let's see.
Yes, so they'll present from the CRA next Thursday morning. I don't know your agenda on yet, but it'll be full. So bring food. But I'll tell you what your items, I'll present and see what you defer. And I'll give this a decent support.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please confuse Bob on how we move forward.
We're excited.
They don't know how.
We're just getting started.
Well, they
Not just us, our candidates.
So I guess the point is like, we should do something that feels that's gonna. I'm like, really nice. That's the one big guy has not been, I want to come back, we have today, this one. And then just, they said.
Kimberly's heard me say this, and look, I look at the team, so back, so growing up in Chicago, we used to have football parks, and New York City, the Southern part of it. Not to serve that neighbors, to make sure that, again, that last time, it's just providing brand to the neighborhood. Brands and stuff. Essentially, it's because we need some kind of like some green space. Water access, I mean, those are the things. Right, so this is a good stuff for us. But yeah, it's a bit too much. Raise the values. I mean, my time is super west. I think just your lines. Well, let's get some. Well, there's some sea lions. Thank you. Great job. Oh, there you go too. By the way, as a side note, I was gonna say, so I'm sorry, okay, what I was gonna say, one of the things, so this goes again back to what we can do to contribute. So one of the long-term reasons, we also went to this the online ticketing, both in advance, but, for lots of reasons, but as you can imagine, the more people we can get to plan their day and purchase their tickets ahead of time, there's a whole series of things. One is, we can deal with any of the issues that may be there, parking or traffic or a hot day. But two is it gives us the ability to now have more people on the line that we can start being that voice. So it's, hey, come out of the aquarium, do whatever. You want to go over here to the Channel District restaurant, you want to go to, shopping, you want to stay at a place. But right now, when you had up until this point, you have 90% of your guests are buying in the door. Once they're done, they're gone. But so this is, we're trying, we try to think through the long game of not only the aquarium, but how we can then have those million people who come through the doors. Maybe see again the district differently or businesses. And so we're taking that serious. Just those, what I was gonna say earlier, the little intangibles of the why we do stuff, it's definitely, Daniel talks about that. It's very thoughtful in a way that we were neighbors, we're not following the customer. I mean, yes, we're a neighbor, but we're an anchor neighbor. Maybe it's the biggest house on the block, but or the coolest house. Maybe it's the party house. It's the party house on the block. The animal house. So anyway, thank you. Thank you.
You got it, okay.
Good. Good. Thank you.
All right. All right.
It's just a budget, now we spent $15 million.
Yeah, the budget, yeah. So I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're gonna have like a whole budget meeting, like workshop
Well,
thing.
April, we were gonna try to do more of that, but,
Yeah, but then we're gonna have something
Whether-
separate where we have an actual
Well,
like budget workshop.
if you want to walk through this,
We
I
can,
can,
but I don't think anybody wants to be here all night. This is a lot to go over.
I
I
know,
would agree, it's not gonna be.
but I know this, and I can hopefully explain it very succinctly. And then if you have any questions, just let me know, but I think I can explain it.
What's the carryover? Where are we now? I think that's something that everybody kind of wonders is where are we now?
Yeah, so-
So where's that number?
So the yellow column are your funds available. And so the budget line items are all on the left, everything that was budgeted in fiscal year 24 and approved. So all those monies that were designated and assigned for fiscal year 24 on that are green in the green column. And then you'll see any of those funds that have been spent out in the total consumption column. And what is still remaining as of, this was the February report, I'm supposed to be getting the March any day now, but what funds are available are in the yellow column. So what I have to do is I gauge basically what's going to not get spent in the yellow column because those monies roll over every year. So our TIF funding rolls over, whereas the general fund does not roll over, ours money roll over, so we never lose our funding.
We call it the carryover.
Yeah,
It's a big number. I can't figure out, looking at this, what that is.
yeah, so it's,
Just because the total.
so right now, 32 million.
So we have 32 million rollover carryover funds that are unallocated.
Just sitting right now.
Unless it is spent, because it's still in the, it's in the budget. And so I can't guess for sure by September 30th, what is going to be spent out of that available funds.
You just know what's left to pay Kimmons on their work between now and September, should know. And
And I guess like if we have, like, why are we stretching it out for years?
Well, because you.
So we can take some of it, right?
So that anything to do with affordable housing has to be restricted.
That's 7 million.
So I have a question. What is the channel district, Twig Street, CIB?
Those are all specifics that this is working on with Pennants. So Pennants has the. Say the last again, please.
Channel district.
With,
That's
Yeah.
the one that's confusing. What-
yeah, so Melissa has, I'd have to get deeper dives from Melissa, because she has a handle on much of the infrastructure and capital improvement projects with Pennants.
But
That's the one that just launched. They just had an open house last week or the week before.
yeah, but what's there to do on Twigs? Because Twigs is.
Only done from Twist. They've not done from the Mav west to Meridian. They have not done that section yet. What's in front of like the Channel Club and and that section of Twist has not been.
You say they haven't done one.
They have like the new sidewalks, there's just some utilities and stuff over there. They have to move around there and it's actually replace some stuff. There's new storm. I mean, that all, and then that's gonna allow them, I think, to redo 12th too, because they didn't go that far. So I think they've got to go up 12th Street and it ties in all new storm and stuff. It comes on 12 later, or gets tied in.
So Twigs and 12 or that problem.
Yeah, I mean, 12 is what they're saying. 12 is probably gonna be last, but you can't do 12 until they do 12.
That makes sense. Because 12 is a mess.
Hot mess.
Yeah, 12 is so.
I missed it on it.
Oh, okay.
It's all
I mean, water, stinks.
It's terrible.
I mean, it is really trash.
So bad.
Yeah.
On this,
Everybody with their complaints.
fiscal year 2025, this is the same as 2020.
Not all
Yeah.
of 12, because some.
No increase. The price.
It's like 1%.
That move is talking about.
That's okay.
Sidewalks, like, yeah.
Okay, so I'll have.
Yeah, that's, it's like, trying, that's why, this is why, exactly why a few months ago, I said, I think we need to set a separate meeting altogether, but because this usually ends up going hours. I mean, like, there's a lot of money to roll through and talk about and plan, put in, what we're spending it on.
Do we want to try to see how, it's only 6:20.
Personally, I would prefer to set the plan for the budget
I think so too.
and just do the budget.
We'll have to, historically, that has been the better way to do it, because this gets pretty nuanced and everybody has opinions on how it should be spent and where we should spend it and what we should and shouldn't do, and I think it probably needs to be either its own meeting or next meeting, we get rid of the rest of the stuff and only make it a budget meeting.
I couldn't get rid of the aquariums.
No.
No, I'm talking about next meeting.
Yeah, we can't wait till next meeting, so it'd have to be a special call. Which is the set aside meeting.
No, we didn't have a meeting last month and we should have set this up for another point between, but that's fine, but.
Well, and also I think we need to do is look at what's going to be CO.
Yeah.
Okay, because we have, at the corner of, Consolidate project,
Yeah.
we got that one, that's gonna be CO, and then when's the anticipation of CO, is that will, I mean, that's gonna bump these numbers up quite a bit, we got the Meridian one,
Yeah, it's just.
that's been CO,
That'll be
right?
assessed.
So I like a projection of what's gonna be CO.
Have you worked that into this?
Yeah,
New
these numbers are, Melissa verified with in the infrastructure section.
No, we're talking about. New building.
Revenue.
Sorry.
Yeah, very good.
Next.
The CO with CO, and what's the anticipation of that, what that's gonna
Right.
bring?
Right.
Because that,
Basically,
that's.
what you do is
Take that.
you just look at what the building permit total is for the building permit for these projects. And then assume they gotta be done by September 31st, and we'll probably go in tax roll next year. Then you can check with the.
I've already seen them. People are moving. Yeah, so.
Just go to the property appraiser website and look at the preliminary assessment. And that'll tell you what the revenue is gonna be based on the military.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, I do understand. I mean, usually what we used to do is we would do the projection from fiscal year revenue that was received and we project. Well, we'll have the final numbers. We will have the final
Yeah,
numbers.
but I don't care about the assessments going up. I care about new projects going up. Being put on this CRA that with vacant land currently, that we're gonna have substantial improvements on it. And you can go to the property appraiser website and you can see the preliminary value they'll put on it, times that by the millage rate. And that'll give you what we can anticipate, because there's two big projects.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hefty amount of money added to. this.
Yeah, I mean, they're big
Two
projects.
big projects.
Do you want to give me projection of where you do want to spend the money?
No, at this point, just what the revenue,
I mean, projects, what you
We
would.
don't know how much it's gonna be. I mean,
yeah, we didn't.
Well, I mean, not even talking about the money, where you're thinking are priorities to spend any of the money.
At this point, let's find how much money it is. Let's find how much money it is on these, I think of two projects. But is there anyone?
I don't think so.
Yeah, two biggies. I mean, they may.
Not within the next fiscal year.
So there's two big ones. The Meridian one and the Kennedy and
Was the map calculated last year? I mean, not,
Twigs.
was it, is the map at this one? It just opened in like, what, November? November, it may or may not be in this budget, the map. That'd be
Well, that's the one, that's the one off of Twig, right?
it just opened.
Then there's the one. on
12
Twigs as
12
well,
Twigs.
and two.
That's the map.
Yeah.
The 12th and 12th. So it just opened in like October. September.
My question is, that even.
Get that included in this, right? I don't know.
Comment, that's all right. Courtney, you mentioned that you feel like you can go through this succinctly. I'm comfortable giving her the floor for 40 minutes without any disruption from us, so she can run through this. I think personally it'll help me know what to expect if we need a separate meeting. It sounds like from historical context, we probably will. That way we go to that meeting prepared. And hearing what Courtney already has prepared and thought of and kind of is organized for us. That might help us, that way we can all write notes, all of our questions down, and that way we can bring those to a separate meeting if we need it. Just thought that we might, at least we can give Courtney the floor for maybe 30 to 40 minutes, just to run through, that sounds. What you said.
Just a question, and then I have no problem with that, is the line items selected here are line items off of 2024, or can we add line items for 2025?
It's in the plan. If it's in our plan.
Community, if it's in the community redevelopment.
Right.
You know, if it falls within what the CRA can spend their money on. So,
Okay.
and that's why I read it for your priority project consideration. So just forecasting to our sunset year of 2034.
Right,
Where are our priorities in the channel district of where to start projecting where those monies would be spent? What are the projects? So over the next 10 years that we want to focus to spend the money.
I think a lot of that's gonna be determined on, do we make other land acquisitions? You know, how big is the land we want to put there? Is it one green space? Do we do a housing?
So have those
project?
ideas.
Do we do a housing project? I mean, this is all that we've talked about.
I mean, it also,
For years.
Andy's question, how much revenue you getting?
That's where I was gonna get.
Yeah.
You can start this budget, we gotta know like properties, you're talking about the CO, what's the income gonna be from these? Because we're just going down a rabbit hole. Then we're gonna run back up and go back out again.
I don't think we're ready for.
I agree with Julie. I would agree if I could run through this to see if I can explain what the current budget is. And then if we need another meeting.
We don't know the number. That's what they're saying. We don't know what our actual number is. We don't have a total, like, we don't know exactly. Because
Just projection of the budget, the budget department, the city takes the revenue and forecasts a 5% increase.
Okay, so you're saying that they didn't add any new projects?
they didn't add any specific.
Is that what I'm telling you?
That could be a big number.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big number.
Yeah.
I mean, we won't know unfortunately the final number until June, July timeframe. So we're all working in vain. The official number,
No.
because it comes to the property tax.
If you're talking,
You can look at preliminary.
the way the property appraiser does, they look at the building permit, they look at the building permit when you file for building permit, you have to put an estimated cost start project. What happens is that's the property appraiser.
Your first evaluation.
Yes, correct.
What's on the permit.
Okay.
Right.
So we,
And it's set, that
all these projects that we're talking about, whether they're just finished or they're in construction, we can together a projection for Katie described, you take the total cost of the project and you look at the millage and you figure out how much is coming to the CRA. So that can all be done that today.
But the big thing is, we're talking about two that are finished right now. We don't know the number.
Well, we're talking about the one that's finished and two that are.
two that are finished.
Two that, one's just
One
finished.
is almost,
Okay.
so two are ready to
Right,
die.
and then,
And then it's done, Marie's done. So
right, so there's three projects potentially that we don't know if that's in this number.
And state statute says on January 1, state statute reads on January 1 is the valuation date. So anything happens after January 1 doesn't apply. I mean, it even goes the other way. So the building burns down on January 2nd, you're paying property taxes on that building the whole year.
I
Same
mean, these are
goes,
probably $40-50 million construction projects.
that's what state statute.
Yeah.
What statute? What night?
Yeah. It's in your $50 million numbers.
What types of projects would you want to see done in the next 10 years in the county?
Again, I think this comes back to what are we gonna spend on land?
More land, it's more land tax. I think.
That and doing something with the land, you know, what do we want to do? There are other CRAs that do mixed use projects, there's other CRAs that do housing, there's others, CRAs that do all this, so they won awards for it, so.
That's like a lot of questions that Courtney needs to go back and probably get. But again, like, do we want to continue to give her the floor for 20 minutes and then that way we can give her a whole list of questions she needs to go back and get? That way when we do meet, we're not then waiting for her to go back and get those answers.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So I'll just go into professional services. You'll see this is also a working document for me. So the yellow highlights are going to be things that I'm just noting to myself. Riverwalk Beneficial Bridge, as you know, there's the 150 in the yellow column. Channel District put in 150 and downtown put in 150 for that study to move forward. So that's moving forward with a partnership with mobility. So the 150 is accounted for there under professional services. Wayfinding, that's actually a surplus of $81,000 because we already paid out the contractor selecting concept one. So the signed concepts that we selected, that's a surplus of 81,000 that we can move elsewhere. 18 Channel Side Drive, urban park planning. That would be to get that project going, where they're working on the scope of service currently to bid out an RFP. So monies are accounted there for the new 18 Channel Side urban park. Outreach and community engagement is for the RFP, which is the communications RFP. There's an extreme surplus there. I don't know why.
Because we started budgeting this when we first started talking about it about 3 or 4 years ago, it's just carried over.
Yeah.
Because nobody's ever been paid to do the work.
So the RFP is going to be going out for that. There's going to be a split allocation between all the districts. So 80,000 would be Channel District's allocation. So there's a large surplus there. Redevelopment investment, those are the grants that were presented to all of you in one of the last couple of weeks.
Did those pass city council?
They've been presented, they were presented March 21st, and the team is going to go back to the CRA on June 13th to get final approval. So I've been working with B. Reed, who's the supervisor of that group, to allocate 124 an opportunity for people to apply once approved June 13th. And then forecasting some additional applicants to come in 25. So we've taken.
We're gonna start taking applications in June now.
If that's the effective date, if CRA board says yes, we will approve these grants, effective date July 1st, I don't know. Then we can take those grant applications immediately. So we would have funds available in 24 for those grants. And then I projected out monies for fiscal year 25. The additional lines in yellow, those are monies that will be able to be reallocated because those are not designated or will not be spent. Redevelopment grant for 83,000. The assistance for business balance, 28,000, assistance for business stage works, 41,000, and contractual services incentive programs, 250,000. Those are all available to be reallocated into something else the group would like to put those monies for the aquarium, for instance. So that's available funding to reallocate. And then affordable housing, as Andy said, we do not need to do anything with this particular section because that is the 30% the CRA board requires of every district to take off the top to allocate toward affordable housing. There will be 3 new programs listed there in green that, just like the grants, the commercial grants you just heard about, the housing grants will come to you to be described of what those housing grants are. So that money that cannot be used elsewhere would go into those 3 named grants that you'll learn about here within the next couple of months. Infrastructure and capital projects are a lot of what the Timmons projects are, that Melissa's working with Timmons on. But within there, you'll see yellow highlighted neighborhood infrastructure improvements. That is not designated money to anything in particular, 2.7 million. So those monies are available for reallocation to another project that's identified by this group. The Port Aquarium project construction.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So that's money that we thought we were gonna be able to Kenneth and we're not.
No.
They're 2.7.
There's named project line items there, 12th Street, Madison Street, Meridian
Yeah,
12.
road infrastructure improvements, what is that?
That is kind of a catch-all, that is not a particular project. So if there's something that this group deems, if it's, a portion of the aquarium money that needs to come out of there, of the 5 or the 15, that we can take.
So if there was other sidewalks or anything else we're gonna add in and get done and all that, 'cause like some of them on 12th Street that are north of Cumberland, we're out the cypress trees a bit. All those sidewalks are, because the roots of those cypress trees have pushed up a lot of sidewalks all through that section of 12. I mean, there's areas that I don't think are in Kevin's current scope that I think are now that we're 3 or 4 years into the Kevin's work, and others we could add. So we've got 2.7, we can throw at that. Is that what that is?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's available funding. It's not,
I think we've got other, we could work into it.
so the 2.7 is not designated to anything in particular.
All right. So we can easily replace the flag damaged sidewalks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We can get a,
Yeah.
a partner with mobility. But yeah, that's not designated to anything.
I mean, I think we would just go to Ken, it's just like we did the rest of them.
Yeah, if we can, if it works, it's within their contract. For aquarium, that 137, I really don't know what that is, but I think that's off the table. We just awarded them 15, we may award them 15 million, so I think
That was an amount that they had first asked for in the early stages, I think, of their design.
well,
It's something that helped in the early stages. I
because
don't
it rolled over, it's available. I don't think it's needed for whatever that was designated for, so I don't know if it's just.
14.
Yeah, so that can go into the 15 million ask, because it's not currently being spent. 12th Street Meridian, that's all, those are Timmons, land acquisition and planning, that is available funding. So like you said, but if there's additional land acquisition, $8.7 million available is in that funding line item.
But that doesn't work.
It does,
It does.
every single thing
Everything.
in yellow. On September 30th, whatever's unspent in the yellow, all rolls over into fiscal year 25. So land acquisition and planning, 8.7, that is undesignated, so available for the firms to spend. Gateway and finding, that's an allocation for the fabrication, maintenance, the fabrication, installation and maintenance of the gateway finding of the concept one that we approved.
Well, that's not gateway. Gateway would be different.
It's just-
They're not doing that. They're not doing gateway signage. So if we want gateway signage, we would just, but I'm just saying, if we want to keep a line item and we want gateway signage, we're gonna have to do that ourselves.
Yeah, that one has a project number for the fabrication installation of.
I think that was the number that we allocated that before the partnership got involved in that. That's what I'm saying. That number was for us to do our own channel district, new signage and gateway signage. And that's what that number's for. That's why that number's there. It's not to give to the partnership. And that's not why it's in this column.
Nothing's going to the partnership.
Right. I'm just saying that line item specifically was what we had allocated to just redo the signage in the channel district apart from before they were in the mix.
Yeah, so, but that's the concept, sign concept one that we've approved.
Correct, but that wasn't, That wasn't being discussed when we first allocated the funds for redoing our gateway signage and our neighborhood signage. None of that was in play when that money was allocated.
Okay, well, we,
That's what I'm saying, this is carried over from years.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
But gateway, I mean, now it doesn't need to be wayfinding, but if we still want gateway signs for the neighborhood, we would still need to probably pull from that line item.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or we can always pull from it.
Yeah. Right. But that number's so big because we anticipate paying for all of our own signage.
Yeah, and like I said, the 8.7 is available, the 2.7 is available, so just because it's in a line item currently in the budget does not mean it's not creating a new line item with funding associated with it. Public art projects, I'm not sure what that money would be used for currently, but we are hiring a CRA focused arts person. So if there are art opportunities in Channel District, we have a $320,000 allocation there for art projects. So that's how much we have there. Washington Street Park renovation, as you know, that's what has been moving forward. And we had 1.5 designated for the construction of it.
Not here.
And then I've added 3.5 in fiscal year 25. And Channel District Quigs is coming again, 18 Channel Side Drive Urban Park. That's my projection, 1.7 of me trying to balance fiscal year 25 budget. I put 1.7 in there. It's going to be, it would be more than that, but I'm just trying to initiate a line item to plan ahead that we will eventually need construction funding for when 18 Channel Side Drive Urban Park goes under construction. Parks ADA improvements. That's something from the CRA board. They did an assessment of all the parks, of several of the parks around the city and which ones needed ADA improvements. So Channel District's allocation to improve any ADA, which some should be incorporated already into Washington Street Park. But nonetheless, we had to designate 10,000 for that study that was done. So some of these improvements may already take place with Washington Street Park, but we needed to designate the 10,000 for the park study, the ADA improvements in the Channel District. Aquarium, I just did it as, just to put it on the radar, but I knew that was coming to us. I have not allocated any funding, as you can see in the pink column for fiscal year 25. So I would need to work on making sure 5 million was in that line item for fiscal year 25. Historic streetcar, that is what we've paid every year, split between 3 different districts. We pay Ybor, Channel District, downtown. So those 3 TIP budgets pay for the historic streetcar operations on an annual basis. So we put that amount of money in there every year. District-wide parking, not happening. $642,000 is available to reallocate elsewhere. The Hart bus stop enhancement, again, that's on my radar. We spoke with Hart. They would like to work in each of the CRA districts to enhance the bus stop shelters. And yeah, if this was an ask, and I'm going to get the better numbers on that, but it was just a general ask, guess about 25,000 per bus stop. So I don't know, that was the ask. I put it in there as my radar until the final request comes.
There's no filters.
Yes, I'll have the question. And if we don't, then that would be 0.
I thought we were taking away.
Yeah, no, I think I would be strongly opposed to it, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I could put a question mark here, that it's not, this is still a draft, but I'll
Yeah,
put,
we don't really want to open that door.
No.
You know, but having all that money available for park bus stop, I think that just opens.
yeah, and if there aren't, it's because these were strictly enhancements.
So,
Yeah, we don't-
anyone whack that.
We have no shelters.
Community placing,
Probably.
yeah, so, okay, I made a note of myself. And then, community policing, that's the 200 and the 100 you see there in the yellow column, that would be for the cameras. I additionally added another 200 in fiscal year 25 for any other needs that we decide that TPD can help us with. We have nothing under historic preservation currently. And then quality of life includes our landscaping, enhanced landscaping bid. That is now, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the contractors are out there working in the field. So the enhanced landscaping bid contractors are currently working. And so that is a roughly 110,000 a year contract. We have more than enough at 274 of any of that's unspent, which will be a majority because they've just started recently. That money will roll over, so I don't need to supplement any new monies for what's available for that contract right now.
So who's working with them? Showing them the areas around the general street that are.
It's a Parks and Rec contract.
Okay, so they're overseeing, making sure that all of the city-owned areas that need help are getting help.
Well, I know it's Parks
They've
contract.
been identified, right?
The contractor has been
No,
identified.
but the areas in which we would like to have improved have been identified. Does the park department know what belongs to the city and what doesn't? Do they know, I mean, do they know the? So-
Yeah, if there's anything you.
So have they taken the have they taken the contractor all the way around the channel district and identified it and relocated? Because that's what this was, money was set aside for and allocated for, specifically to clean up every single piece of city-owned space where there's weeds and weed trees and no greenery and no flower, nothing, and to do that. So have they identified every single spot?
It would have been in the scope of service. Did
Okay.
anyone work on the scope of service or weigh in on it in this group?
I wrote it, so.
Okay.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, but is someone at the park board actually coming out with this contractor going, this is city, this is city, this is city, and letting them know what, all the areas?
I can ask, but I mean, that's.
I want to make sure that after we went through all this, and it took this long, that everything gets, gets improved.
Yeah, I mean, I can ask who, I don't know who would.
We don't have someone saying, well, we're done, and then that whole stretch of a block doesn't get done, and it still looks.
Yeah, and let me know if you're not seeing improvements. I know I've gotten a couple of community members already email me about seeing improvements
Okay,
from the
good.
contractor.
Okay.
Pressure cleaning, that's the intensive pressure cleaning services. And so that contract is 55,000 per year. So most of that money, that the funds available will be spent out in 24, which is the yellow column. I've programmed an additional 60,000 to cover the fiscal year 25 contract.
And that's for twice a year,
Three.
I thought it was quite something.
That's clear.
They increased it. What used to be 2, from my understanding, and now it's 3. But we're working on increasing it to 3.
yeah, I think we should do it quarterly, definitely. It's not that much more to just do 1 to 1. Keep it all looking good,
Okay.
why not?
Okay, because we got the estimate from the last request of doing it 3 times, but. Okay.
I would like to request something. This column total consumption, could we change that London to date? Total consumption means like it's total.
I mean, it's a budget it's an internal budget document, but it's outlined.
I mean, sorry.
Like total bill, that's what you're saying, or total?
That's what you would assume. It's just funded to date. That's all it is. That's just money spent as of this date.
Right.
Total consumption, to me, sounds like it's done. Project's done, move on down the road.
Okay.
Is there a low-hanging fruit that this group can recommend that can actually use this funding in the next few months, or just everything need an RFP and so,
Everything in the process.
so is there something we can spend this money in? That's kind of easy, or?
So it would be the one thing that would take a big chunk if we can identify and find it. So it's just not anything big, but I mean, that's, they were getting an appraisal value of that lot, yeah, so.
Yeah.
I mean, we ended up on those orders.
And this, and there's not time, like, we need to have, I still don't understand the schedule, okay? And I want to know how much money we have now available. And then what, if there's things that are already contracted for that we are obligated to pay, that reduces what we have available. I want to know that. And then I want to know what we can expect for the next couple of years as far as revenue, so we can make some projections. Because again, if there's a focus from this group to buy language service, we just committed $15 million tonight to the aquarium. I think we need to understand what we've got, so we have to make those decisions, and all the other stuff, all these other improvements, I mean, they're not the big numbers. But so we need to start with an understanding of exactly what we've got. You know, 32 million is not going to be happy, because like, you described that as funds available, but then is it less than 11 million? I don't understand. Like,
So like,
Yeah, I think we need like what we have now. What we're gonna spend between now and September, what will be left, and what, where, how we wanna allocate that, and what's coming next year and the next year.
What we have now in the bank, less what's committed.
Right.
In contracts.
That's what I'm saying, what will be
And
spent.
that tells us what we have left. Then we can say, okay, let's look at the budget for 25 now. If there's not a timing available, that doesn't make a difference to me. I want to know, I want to be able to project, to answer your question of what we want to focus on as our priorities. We have to know those answers, be able to decide and be able to say, here's what we want to spend money on, because if there's big swings in these amounts, if we have a big pot of money that we don't really understand, we have, how can you make decisions about it?
I'm sorry, this document is wacky, because you got total revenue here, and then you're calling these expenditures. You know, so to me, I'm looking at total revenue, and if I were to call these actual expenditures, we're in the ball. You know what I mean?
I think it's the way this is looking at it, it's just really, it's just not a typical financial spreadsheet layout. I mean, this is pretty atypical. I guess this might be something the city does, but for all of us in the private world and, you know, looking at a normal financial spreadsheet, it just looks different and it's titled different and it runs different. So I think we're just not really understanding.
This is the problem.
Exactly.
Consolidating, operating with a balance sheet.
That's exactly right.
That's what and I mean, you know, that's what we're doing.
Right.
We have an operating and consolidate balance, and they're two different animals. But I understand it because, no, because of, just because I know madness.
These are fun to play.
Yeah.
You understand?
Calling them.
Only because I've seen it so many years.
So I still don't understand that.
Yeah, no, I can. But
pieces that you mentioned that have RFPs out, so the urban park planning and then the professional services. What is the timeline on those RFPs, and is that funds, are those funds able to be used in this fiscal year? So outreach and community. Yeah, because you mentioned, I think that's the RFP, if we get 80,000, right?
For this challenge allocation, that should go out. It should be spent out in fiscal year 24, if we can identify.
But what?
Consultant.
I asked about the professional services at 80,000, equipment from an RFP, but I didn't know if there was an RFP already.
It's not yet. It should be soon.
Okay.
Or the multi-CRA.
And the outreach and community engagement line. The 60
Professional
side,
services.
80,000 for channel district portion, but.
No, that's all of us. So professional services, that should be.
No, numeral 3. Are you looking at numeral 3?
Yeah, that's 655,000. I don't know what you mean by 80,000.
Yeah, I just said-
That's
I was
all
just-
numbers.
I know, but I was just describing line by line, and when I mentioned that line, I said that the RFP was our allocation for the RFP for community outreach, community engagement is 80,000. So
So we're sharing a person.
they're hiring a firm. So an RFP is gonna go out and cover the CRA. And so they split
Oh,
up.
so we're still not getting a dedicated person for the channel district, like Ebor has. So
And Ebor's is not continuing,
they're getting rid of the CRA manager role at Ebor.
not CRA manager, the marketing, the firm that they currently use. Back
They don't
up.
have an employee, is my point, and that's what we've talked about here for years, and not necessarily a city employee, but hiring someone to just focus on the channel district.
They don't have an employee. Ebor's, no, they hired HCP and Associates. And HCP and Associates contract expires in September, and they're not renewing that contract.
So when I went to the CRA office over there, there's a couple of staff members working over there, just in for Ebor.
But nothing,
Area office.
nothing for specific communications and outreach.
Right, doesn't matter. Point is, what we have wanted to do here for years and why that number is so big is we've always wanted to have like a community ombudsman that we bring on that does help with programming the park space, special events, marketing, email, getting the community involved, like somebody that's going to focus on the championship because we've had the money to do it. And that's something we voted on years ago, and then we voted on it again, and we voted on it again, and it was in our active community
So what was
plan
the result from the CRA board?
approved. And they were fine with that for us to bring somebody on, you know, and it not necessarily a city employee, but we could even just go out and hire a consultant that would just focus on us, on the Channel District, right? And they're not spread out over to cover every CRA. So, I mean,
Yeah,
if we're gonna spend 80 grand, we should be getting someone who's helping us program special events, doing stuff in the community, overseeing the landscape work, overseeing the pressure washing, somebody that's just focused on this district. I mean, there's a lot of money here in this district, and I think even though we're not huge, it doesn't matter. This is something we have voted on, I don't know how many times, and the answer we got for years is, it's happening, we'll get it out there, we'll find somebody, and the council, I mean, the board approved it.
Yeah, well, they've been going through all that, all the reorganization of the CRA as an agency. And so the organizational structure is,
Right, but if there's still two or three employees sitting in the Ebor CRA
that's
office.
not right. The Ybor office is closed, actually.
Oh, it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a reorganization, so everyone has been assigned.
And really, so they're not there.
So the 80,000 is for the RFP, that's gonna go to the CRA communications team to do CRA communications. That RFP's out, so it's that's 80,000, so I guess another 400, whatever is available, so if we wanted to do some dedicated neighborhood liaison, we could. I guess.
Not a city.
We're gonna have to do another separate budget meeting, we got 3 days to go, we would be able to, and we still have a lot that covers, so I think we're just gonna have to do a separate meeting. Yeah, because I have time to get in all this. So can we get the updated numbers for 3 buildings? Get that added.
Just make sure I have.
And just do a special.
I'm happy to help you with this. Okay, if you get a hold of me, I'll make some time and I'll walk through this with you. I'm happy to.
Yeah, but what would be helpful is to know what your priorities are.
We need to know how much we
You don't
have
think that's
first.
safe. I think you could tell me the priorities and I still could find out what the numbers is.
Again, well, with the appraisal on this land, we need to find that. Yeah, we need to go through and see what, you know, I think it's a whole discussion. I think what you're asking us, it's a whole discussion. I don't think it's just, hey, we got, let's fill up all the blanks right now. I think it's a whole discussion on what else we want to do.
Well, the good news is this, guys, okay, at the last public hearing, Lynn Hortak had proposed to the campus, that went nowhere. I mean, she had no support. So if that didn't happen, all this would have been immaterial to what we're discussing. So that's great news. I mean, you know, we really need to celebrate that.
Are you just looking for ideas? Because do they have any financial back?
Just put it in land at this point, really. So, but whatever gap you have, put in land.
Well, I don't know, it's $30 million.
It doesn't make a difference. I mean, for purpose, but actually, what I'm saying is, what I want to talk to you about, create, so we can have this discussion is, it doesn't have to be done for the 25 budget, okay? I think we want to have a discussion. We want to understand what it is we've got available. Realistically, then we can apply that to the 26 budget when it comes out to that budget. I understand you don't have to.
Sorry, board have to vote on it.
No, I understand 25, we don't have time to do this, it just doesn't make a difference. So just do it however you gotta do it. I mean, I don't
We can
care.
move things around whenever we want, as things come up.
Correct.
Exactly, and then, so please know that even though these are main line items in the current budget, does not mean you can't add a new line item, reallocate.
Are you saying you need that?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, so we're having spread out 32 million to change right now, 33 million.
Broad feed.
Yeah.
So what we need is for you to find out how much money these new projects can potentially bring in. To help us get an idea on some of the things, maybe we have an idea with like I say, I would like to have the sidewalks to go from Kennedy to Cumberland I mean, it's a channel sign on 12th.
Yeah.
Because they all up and down,
Yeah.
and you can't cheat one because it's beautiful going down Cumberland right now and probably, around us, but if we turn down 12, it's ours. So, and then if you can get those numbers, and then we need to maybe send you some ideas to.
Yeah.
What?
I don't even know how much money you're asking us to put in these lines, like, that's what I don't understand too, so are you asking us to tell you right now where you want 33 million, or are you asking us to tell you that we want 11.4?
She just wants any ideas you may have to put as a line item.
Yeah, because they're already an established line here, but if you see something missing,
Yeah, she wants to know, additional projects coming on, where do we put that on? Correct, because other than
So if we have 11.4, we just gave you, we're at 5, we're at, you know.
I would
so
suggest next
like,
year,
we'll do more sidewalks.
January, we have a section of the meeting that's dedicated to, so that we're not up against the wall. I mean, I know we missed last month for whatever reason, but we probably need to do it at least a month in advance, just in case that happens. That way you can have everything you need. We can have an idea of what, we would like to do, what we would like to add. But
Put more in construction on the RV lot park, and 1.7 isn't gonna do it. We put more in construction for, Washington Street Park too, because 1.7 isn't gonna do it. Say right now.
no, I haven't been.
Yeah, I think you could put a lot more in both of those. I mean, even 2 million or 2.5, it's not gonna do it. It's still
I
working.
put 3.5.
Is the river,
Right, but we wanna make it cool, we wanna do something nice to it.
So right now it has a current available funding of 1.5, and I put an additional 3.5.
So I think it's gonna stick.
It's cost you $1 million to renovate the,
So
so,
that park's only 20,000 square feet.
right, but construction.
So what's right in charge, you're saying add or?
No, I think it's gonna stick out pretty bad, that if you put $4 million into a 20,000 square foot water.
Yeah, but the concept's already been presented here.
That's for Washington Street.
Oh, you're saying.
I'm talking about the RV lot, like that, right? But we also talked about maybe going vertical and doing some other things over there.
Put it in.
I mean,
We-
I'm just saying 1.7 isn't gonna be enough to get us through design and construction.
Yeah, but see, I know that they're not gonna start on construction by 50 or 20. I said I was just putting money in there to make it a placeholder, just establish that it has a line item in our budget, but they probably won't even be able to do construction until this year 26. So I started just putting money.
It shouldn't, theoretically, it shouldn't take that long to design and start construction of space like that.
Well, it's supposed to be workload part, but
Well, we're not gonna use parks. We wanna get an outside firm, just like we did for Washington Street Park.
but it would go through Parks to get, Parks manages the Washington Street Park contract.
So the whole point of CRAs, part of it is, so we have the ability to go out and hire third parties to come in and do things, so we don't have to go through the red tape. That is part of what the CRAs are designed to do. They always have been. But it feels like everything we're always subject to the red tape on everything, but that's not why the CRAs were established. They were established so we can do things on our own to beautify and clean up blight and do the things we need to do without it being subject to the same processes as everything else within the city procurement process.
Or if you did.
We are, right, we should not have to keep going down these really long winding roads through the
That's
city
what-
process, but that's not how, what the rules.
Policy.
That's, well, state law, actually. So it's not up to the city to tell us how we procure design services, because the whole design under the laws of CRAs say that we can go out and hire who we want, a private party, standing on our own. I mean, I know what I'm saying, I just don't understand how we're getting bogged down. I don't know how we're getting bogged down in the process so badly through the city that we're getting nothing done, because that's not what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be, if we want to hire architects to design this park, we can go out and hire the architects. We don't have to go through city procurement. We should not have to. We should be able to do this straight from here, like the CRA hires them to. I mean, Jefford, who was here before, did it with many of his CRAs that he worked with, and told us the same thing here. We should not have to go through this process. It's not the way this is supposed to go, because that's not the way it's written in the state laws for CRAs. So that's why nothing gets done. Okay, let's just go through the rest of this as quickly as possible. All right, guys, I just want to roll through this. All right, Riverwalk extension discussion. What's the deal there?
Well, just if you guys felt that you were in support of the discussions that have happened about extending the river walk to Adamo Drive. And just what your perception was on any support for that.
And especially with the new development coming. So.
In fact, I mean, you know, where you have on your. Where you have, here. Online. You have, commitments, and then you have to be determined. I would now, by that rezoning getting, approved, I'd actually put that on there, the, whatever, what's that called, harbor,
Yeah,
whatever it's called. I'd put that in there because there's gonna be infrastructure that we can do as a CRA to, so I would just add that to your, to be determined. I would add this new project. If you go, I went online and I looked at proposed projects. She didn't say, this is what I did last time, and I just went online, and there are a lot of TBDs.
I have to create a bunch.
Yeah, so add, what I'm saying is I would add more lines on it to your TBDs. So add one of whatever that's called, harbor.
The harbor project.
Yeah, whatever it is.
And you're saying related to just infrastructure in general or the river walk extension?
Just TBD, depending on the infrastructure that we'd be doing for that development.
Okay.
Okay, just put that, the development's name, that's all you need to put.
Yeah, let's just go through the rest of this quick. Okay, so then what do we have next? Real estate? Okay, is the appraisal done?
Yeah, so the appraisal's done, real estate's actively working on this, so I can't really talk about any action that's taken when any type of discussions are happening. So, so at this stage, things are actively happening for the CAC's request.
We don't know what the appraisal is.
It's with real estate, so I cannot talk about that information.
State statute allows during negotiations for an appraisal to be public.
Oh, they're actively discussing with the owner of the property.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I
During negotiations.
Yeah.
It gives you a window.
didn't realize we were actually talking to the owner of the property.
Yes, I just can't.
Yeah.
I'm out
Got it.
until I'm allowed to talk about whatever they find out. To U-turn request, as you know, that was passed along to Theo, so they were just doing their, still looking, I gotta get a follow-up from them.
You see the photo that I emailed Jim,
I sent it.
Cumberland, and Meridian, it actually says U-turn yield to oncoming traffic, so it's encouraging U-turns in both directions. At the Cumberland intersection, yeah, and there've been a couple of pretty gnarly accidents right there.
I forwarded on.
There was another, yeah, there was another.
So I just haven't gotten.
Yeah.
Official word.
And it's especially funny going, south on Meridian and the one at Cumberland, if you turn there, because the little triangle island where the merge lane is, it sticks out too far. You actually can't hardly even do a U-turn without going along the curve of that island. There's not enough radius there to actually make that.
Yeah, I did send that.
Yeah, okay.
So they just, so they have all that information. I'm just waiting on a follow-up back from them. Security cameras will be on the May agenda of the city council. They've been trying to move this onto the city council agenda since January.
And what's that? What is it going to city council for?
The contract with the company that does the purchasing and installation of the cameras.
PPP.
Supposed to be.
We'd already done this.
It's kind of ridiculous.
We already
It's a contract.
I know, but. I just don't know why it's going back to them. We've already know all this.
It's the contract. The contract is expired for who does or it needed to be renewed, but it just like money approved to get the contract approved, the contract actually happened, approved delay. So it's finally on the agenda in May of city council to approve the contract, to allow the contractor to buy the cameras and do the installation. So I'll let you know when that contractor is officially approved. Beneficial bridge study I mentioned earlier, Elements Engineering is on board to do the study. So they've written a scope of service. It's moving forward. 18 channels.
Question with the study, is there a possibility they could start doing something in 2025?
Uh.
Actually physically doing some
Construction,
construction.
probably not.
Because, no, because of also what that price tag is. I don't know what the price tag is. This is just the study.
So it just, not to bounce back, but from a budgeting standpoint, Riverwalk expansion, would that be something,
Either. I think we're years away.
yeah, for us even to consider just?
I think the aquarium project's done and punched out before we even start that, I'll be honest with you.
All right.
I mean, between the studies that have to be done and the different agencies that have to be involved and planning and design and all that, I mean, would you agree?
5 years.
Probably, yeah, that's what I figured, yeah, I think the aquarium's long done.
Okay.
I'm just, sorry, go ahead, but is the group is in support of the Riverwalk extension? Just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that was in the, built into the new CRP amendment that just was approved,
Yeah.
aquarium, or I'm sorry, the extension of the Riverwalk, if the group, if
yes.
we, Ariel, like the idea. Okay, just wanted to make sure. 8-10 challenge. So yeah, we're putting money in that to plan for the future.
Is that RFP out for design on that?
It's under review it's drafted, well, scope of service, the scope of service had to be drafted. So that is moving forward. Quarterly pressure washing, just, we talked about that, I just keep it on there, just so you know, we're doing it, it's on schedule.
Yeah, so quarterly.
Yeah.
Right,
Great.
which means it should be 4 times a year. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's-
Double check the agreement, but then see what we bought, and then if not, then it should be quarterly, just like we said, but yeah, I think it's been quarterly on all of our.
Yes, I don't know why the original contract, these are, I did see this contract, it was twice a year, I believe, so let.
I feel like we already went through this and we increased it, and I feel like we increased it to 4 already, but maybe it was 3. But yeah, it's been quarterly for a minute. Since January, it's been all quarterly, so just make sure we didn't buy 4.
Okay.
Add them. I will say several business owners that I know in the Chem District have commented on, like, how grateful they are for the cleaning of the sidewalks and, cleaning in front of the businesses and stuff like that, so.
So yeah, they're on schedule for their next meeting. With my.
All right, next day's meeting, the 5th, here, board meeting, May 9th, I am City Hall. Somebody like to make a motion for that?
Was the burden is the budget meeting, just Courtney's and that?
Yes. So how to be advertised.
Okay, so are we doing this a separate full meeting on the budget?
Yep.
Okay, because I thought I also heard to just move forward with 25, but do more.
What do you want to do? Run another budget, you want a full budget meeting with all the members? Michael said he would help you pull the numbers together,
But I
so
heard
if
going
you want to
forward.
work with Michael, then maybe you can email it to us, and then we can just write back any questions or comments. Just one of the.
So yeah, Michael said, he worked with me on getting the numbers, but move forward with the 25 budget, but also follow up with the numbers.
And maybe we can send any other line items.
Right, we think, anything we think of, and then maybe you can send us back as a group, a summary of what you've done, the changes, or summary of what was added per our comments, things around, I guess we can move things around. Andy, do you want a separate budget meeting? Okay, right. Okay, I guess we'll just do it that way then. All right, somebody, anything else?
I just, talk about programming in Channel District, we have May 8th, there's Channel District Day Night in Washington Street Park. And May 28th, the coffee break, also in front of Washington Street Park, so. And then there'll be a survey out in May.
Anything coming up in Washington, I mean, at Madison Park, it's such a big space, we have such a good opportunity there for some programming, anything?
I know the partnership was talked about because they have to have a contract with the parks, that right now it's with Washington Street, but especially if there's some construction there. That all of that folks switch, it's massive, but I think it's based on that contract they
I
have.
think that was some of the idea when we designed Madison Street Park was to kind of be a little bigger, more open, so it could accommodate community events and stuff, so.
Yeah, and then likely when Washington Street's on, they'll probably be both.
Well. You know, this question, answer this. We have, what's, the pack, so you have a chance, so.
The only ones we have right now, so. The Thea is putting in, don't know the exact number, 6, I think, or something under the expressway right next to our building.
Oh,
It's part of the, yeah, it's part of their great one advancement plan. They're putting pickleball. Until they're doing,
I'm not, but I hear wonderful things about it.
but it's not.
It's still.
But there's a,
Wonderful thing.
there's a one over on, Adamo. There's a pickleball for pickleball courts, but not there on public. But the only one we have then would be Max.
Mass and we would say. Okay.
If we were able to acquire that land, that
That's
could be
right.
used because people are, yeah, are
Tuesday, we have the state of Kansas on town floor,
Yeah.
so. It's approved.
the mayor's gonna be done this time.
Mhm. And so they were really great last time, so that's 7:30 to 12 on Tuesday at the Home Water Street. It's a really fantastic.
Jacob for the water.
Water consultant. So they're available and should be.
Just a question on landscaping, with the budget there. Does that include potential replacement of trash bins and benches?
It could, benches should be in Kemen's scope. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Trash cans are in
That
there.
wouldn't be a landscaper, that's more.
Well, they could. And landscapers provide.
I mean,
landscape
it's
also.
but on 12th are terrible, either rotted out.
We could have a line item for Kemen's to replace trash cans if it's not currently in their scope. I know they had a furnishings package in their scope, but I haven't seen. I
Yeah.
haven't seen any new benches that we need. I think,
Okay.
yeah, benches and trash cans
Yeah.
should be easily replaceable.
Right.
Yeah.
But where does it fall? I mean, who's responsible?
Or, yeah,
Because at one time I thought it was considered.
don't put it on the list for us to buy, or it'll be tied up for a year purchasing, so.
Well, just like, I'm sorry.
We get Kevin's
I know you
too.
want to conclude it,
Okay.
but it's just like going back to partnership, because partnership, in my understanding, the doggy bags and
Right.
and trash cans there.
Right, and planters, to some
And
extent.
planners, correct. But, so is that also potentially?
We might be able to run it through partnership if we have to, but Kevin's should be able to run it for us, because they're under, we have them under contract. They should be able to easily get site furnishings for us. If we wanted to increase, like do a change order for trash cans and
Also-
benches.
Just let me know what it is.
Maintenance problems there, it's Unified.
Yes.
Right.
On good ones, I mean, good ones shouldn't have to be anything done other than just not the trash, but.
Because we got tops are off and every, what, let's see, I mean, it is the nice one,
I know.
yeah. And that's the reason, I mean, your great question on the landscaping is who's ended up walking, because I mean, we still have
Who's managing?
irrigation piping that's broke, that's supposedly city controlled, and it's not working. And I mean, it's been reported several times. So how do you get that activated and cleaned up? So I'm questioning the landscaping effectiveness that's being out there, and how do we?
It's who's managing the landscape crews,
Yes.
right? Who's overseeing them, making sure that that they're actually like making it look, but not just going out there pulling weeds, but once that's planted and cleaned up and mulched and
Yeah, because Courtney, before you,
just nice.
yeah, Courtney, before you time, it ended up holding, I think it was last year, about in February, we did the walkabout Karen Crest and the whole group, and we walked pretty much a good portion of that. And we pointed out these areas with several people from the city. And they were making notes. There's a spreadsheet that even existed by someone in the city that they were going to pay attention to these landscaping issues. And minimal improvement that I've seen from that. So I'm willing to do that if we can get the right people to walk around, and I'll walk with them to go see and get other people to do it. But we're just not, the landscaping is lacking within the district.
Yeah, I think we've,
It's public.
right. But look, we've said it for years. We have the money. Why does Bay Shore look like it does, but we can't get weeds pulled out of flower beds in the Tampa district? I mean, it's like we're the kind of forgotten stepchild of, the urban core of Tampa. We really are. And that's why we've been saying for years, we've got all this money. It can look good and it's still not there. So
So what do you suggest we get?
Yeah.
Tell us what you
What do we do?
recommend to get it to, we're the when, you're the how. Tell us how you want to make it
Well, I
happen.
was just wondering what you're talking about that was done. Was this incorporated into the scope of service?
This was in,
the scope I wrote for that, it did include plantings and graffiti removal and mulching and weed killing, weed prevention, and I mean, it included all of that. Planters if necessary, anything that's the scope I wrote. I wrote a full landscaping scope for the whole district. That, I mean, that was the basis for which the contract went out.
Yeah,
That's the scope I wrote.
okay. So all that stuff was incorporated, so that's what.
But the city is all making sure that they're doing what we want done, right? I mean, not just the Parks and Rec going, go pull those weeds and
Yeah.
that checks that area off. I don't want.
Yeah, well, the contractor has to follow the scope of service.
I
So
don't know what the final ended up being, but that was what I mean, I had put that in the version that I drafted, but I don't know what the final agreement was. I don't know what's in their final agreement that you hand me that to do this, you know, I don't know. And
Is there one curious about that?
who's enforcing that, I guess is the question too.
You know, if you remember, I'm sorry, but at one time I thought there was supposed to be a map laid out from sidewalk to curb. Of who is responsible for that?
But
Or is it a city responsibility or is it the?
that was something Melissa was working on at one point.
Right,
She was gonna do a map, or she had a map or working on a map. Which is, median areas were privately owned, which ones are city
right.
Yeah, like the whole area next to parking garage between Sparkman parking garage.
Right.
On the north side.
owned, and all the way around the towers.
That's a lawsuit we had.
And all the way around the towers too, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not ours. We've checked with our building. And so we don't own that space.
Well,
It's
the
city.
problem is everything that's getting put in new looks wonderful. Everything that is
For
been
a
for a while
couple months.
looks like it's just crap. And they're all so close to each other now. You walk from one to the other.
Even like Channel Side Drive, I mean, it looked amazing when they put everything in and there's a significant amount of weeds and stuff out there now. They're just, nobody's really paying attention to it. It's just kind
So like you said, 20th Street, right, kind of something from your place at the towers to the parking
of,
garage.
yeah.
I mean, that got to be that city responsibility for that, and that looks.
Yeah, they removed signs and there was like holes where the signs were and, you know.
There's sidewalks that are already funky and stuff through there. So yeah, if we've got extra money, we can spend on infrastructure. There's several
I'll send you
sidewalks.
this.
There's several sidewalks. I mean, we can always,
So is the parking garage there city owned or is that a port?
That's the floor.
or,
It is a port. So then potentially that
but
could.
the
be-
landscaping, I don't know if that's port or not.
Yeah,
Or
that's-
that's,
The sidewalk.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the landscaping beds and stuff, but.
Yeah,
that's-
it's a sidewalk, somebody ran into it.
Yeah.
And Ariel would figure it.
Yes. And out of the towers up on the Channel Side Drive, that sidewalk right there, there's pieces that are
Oh.
really wonky all through there. So, I mean, we could definitely replace some sidewalks. 12th Street sidewalks are pretty bad too.
Yeah, that would.
I'd venture to say if someone got hurt on one of those, the city's gonna have a lawsuit because they're just not.
Yeah, there's probably trees in them.
Yeah, trees are way out.
Well, I sent that to Melissa.
Okay.
So Melissa was going to address.
I think we just replace all this money. Might as well, we have extra money in the infrastructure line around anyway. I mean, and at some point, if it's helpful, I'd be willing to walk with Jay-Z and show him some areas so they could put together a proposal for some of the worst areas.
Yeah, well, Melissa, is that big? I don't know. Maybe. Oh, John. Okay, I don't call him. But yeah, Melissa works most closely with him. So, you know, if we would want to coordinate something with Melissa and John. Yeah, that would work. Okay.
Okay, anything else?
Okay.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers. Soon. Everybody wants to know a date.
What about?
June.
June, okay.
We will be done.